We got a massive Juan Soto update to bring to you guys, and the Toronto Blue Jays, a team that has struggled mightily this season, they're expected to heavily pursue Juan Soto in free agency. So we'll break that down and much more in this episode of Jays Digest. Welcome in everybody to Jays Digest. I'm your host Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Goss. Shout out to Nick for holding it down these last few days. The channel would not be possible without him, so shout out to him. I've been very busy with work, but try to make it as much as I can in the following days. But Nick, thanks again for doing all that, man. Really appreciate it, keeping us afloat here. And I'm back for the big Juan Soto news that we just got yesterday, and I cannot wait to talk about this guy yet again because he is one of the premier players in all of Major League Baseball. And the Blue Jays, they had a chance to be in on Shohei Ohtani last year. We all know how that unfolded, but they're going to be in on the Juan Soto sweepstakes. Now, hopefully they get him, but if they don't, there has to be a backup plan, and there has to be a good backup plan in place because a lot of moving parts need to be put into motion here for the Toronto Blue Jays to even think about being competitive in 2025. And getting Juan Soto would be a great starting point to that. But if you don't get him, there are plenty of other free agents that can address the numerous holes on your roster, and the Blue Jays need to be all over those guys as well as Juan Soto.
Yeah, we might be setting ourselves up for heartbreak once again, but we know that we covered it a couple weeks ago. There's been some rumblings about Juan Soto and the Toronto Blue Jays, but a pretty firm report here dropped saying the Toronto Blue Jays are expected to pursue top free agent option Juan Soto for the second consecutive season. The Jays are expected to make a run at offseason's top prize. And obviously we know that last season it was Shohei Ohtani, but Bob Nightingale said after missing out on Shohei Ohtani last offseason, the Jays are once again expected to pursue the top option. The Blue Jays will make a run at Juan Soto, according to Bob Nightingale. And the things that he wrote are the exact report was there are 5 teams expected to make bids for free agent outfielder Juan Soto in free agency, which includes the Yankees, the Mets, the Jays, the Giants, and the Phillies. And this kind of makes sense that it's going to be a small number of teams because, quite frankly, Peter, he's going to be commanding hundreds of millions of dollars, a lot of money. It won't be quite Shohei Ohtani money, but to hear the Jays are among these teams pursuing him is very exciting, and this is now the third report that the Jays are going for him. Will they get him? Hopefully, but either way, it's good to see that they're going for him this time. However, I pray that Ross Atkins this time has a backup plan if they strike out for him.
Yes, there needs to be a backup plan in place, whether that's Alex Bregman, a name that I've mentioned several times, whether that's literally anybody else that can make an impact on your roster. Because Chris Bassett said it earlier in the season on a podcast appearance that he made that they put all of their eggs into the Shohei Ohtani basket, and we all know how that panned out. He went to the Dodgers. He's now having one of the greatest seasons in Major League Baseball history. Maybe you could have had him. Maybe you actually had a realistic chance of getting him. We don't know how true those reports are, but you didn't get him. And now you're in a position where you had to scramble and you had to fill some holes on your roster at the last minute. And those holes were filled by Justin Turner. They're filled by Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who, no disrespect to those guys, they're good players and they have good track records in Major League Baseball, but they're not Shohei Ohtani. They're not putting up a 50-50 season. They're not going to be on the mound next season either. So, like, yeah, you put all of your eggs into the Ohtani basket. You struck out clearly because he didn't sign with your team. And then there was just no good backup plan in place. Like you were relying on a 39-year-old Justin Turner to solve all of your offensive issues. And that just was never realistic from the get-go. We wanted to be optimistic and we wanted to let the season play out, but it was clear that from the beginning to where they are now, that it was just not enough. And they did not make enough moves to warrant being competitive this season. So something's got to change. There's a lot of holes that need to be filled on this roster, most notably in the bullpen and in the offensive side of things. So go out there, make some moves, try to get Juan Soto, but spoiler alert to all you Jay fans out there, I really think he's going to go back to New York. Like I find it very hard to believe that he's not going to return and be a Yankee for the rest of his career. But you also never know because he has been on 3 different rosters and he's only 25 years of age. So it's possible that maybe he wants a change of scenery and he's not entirely happy in New York, but My guess is that he is because he's having the best season of his career. He looks like he's pretty happy, and the Yankees are going to be playing October baseball, and the Blue Jays aren't. So that's the difference right there. You're fighting an uphill battle right here. So if you can't get him, and if it's clear that you can't get him, go out and get someone else that can help your roster out and be competitive in 2025.
Yeah, and obviously if they don't get Juan Soto, hopefully this is a sign that they're willing to spend this offseason like they have been the previous offseason. And he basically goes on to say that the inclusion of the Jays in this list is not surprising after coming so close to Ohtani. They clearly have the money and willingness to make something big happen. But something that's very important to note, you can see in the second paragraph here, it'll be interesting to see how the Jays handle the financial side of things, because they have to re-sign Vladimir Guerrero Jr., which it seems like that's going to happen according to Shai Davidi, but we'll still have to wait on that. Bichette also is heading into his last year of his contract next season. So bringing in Soto, then you'd be forced to extend all three. Though I will say, if they bring in Juan Soto and they extend Vladdy, there is a world where they don't pay Bichette or they trade Bichette. That is definitely an option. But you have a lot of these great players now in the Toronto Blue Jays, and I think it's about time that they spend and build around Vladimir Guerrero Jr. among the other guys. And they have the money to extend all three if they really want to. But we're talking about Juan Soto here. He's arguably, if not one of the best, definitely one of the best hitters in baseball this season, having an absolutely unreal year. And yes, you're reading that right, over a 400 on-base percentage with an OPS plus of 174, and he's just only about to be 26 years old. He's currently 25. So if there's a time for the Toronto Blue Jays to spend, you spend it now and figure out the financials later when it comes to extending Bichette and Vladdy. But I still think they would extend Vladdy first before guaranteeing $400 or $500 million to Juan Soto. But I hope that's not a deterrent for them, the money side of things, because I want them to just go out and get the player if you can. The Jays desperately need him.
Yeah, well, it was a different sort of contract negotiation, I would say, with Shohei Ohtani, because not only are you adding to your team in a significant capacity, you're adding an entire market to your fan base as well. Like the Japanese people follow Shohei Ohtani wherever he goes, and you could see that that's evident right now with what's going on with the Dodgers. They were all Angel fans when he was there as well, so you would have added a severe, hefty amount of money to your bankroll if you were Rogers and company there. Now with Juan Soto, I don't know if he has that same kind of fiscal impact. So maybe the Blue Jays don't think it's worth it to throw $600 million his way just for the improvements that he'll bring to the roster. But you speak about his abilities as a player. No one is doubting that. His career on base percentage is 420, which is higher than his season on base percentage. So like he's actually below average in that category this year, and it's still in the 99th percentile or 100th percentile around Major League Baseball. So he's elite. He hits for power. He does everything. He is the modern day Ted Williams, as people like to describe him as, and I could definitely see that comparison because this guy just is a pure hitter. He crawls out of bed in the morning and he goes 2 for 4. Like that's just the way that Juan Soto operates. And what a fantastic player. It would be amazing to see him in Blue Jay colors, but again, I don't know if it's realistic for the Blue Jays to pry him away from New York in a situation where he seems really happy. And he's a guy that relishes the spotlight, and there's no bigger spotlight than New York playing with the Yankees and having the pinstripes on your jersey. So it's going to be tough. But again, like we mentioned in the intro, like we mentioned several times over the past few weeks here, this cannot be your only course of action. If you don't get him, you don't get him. So be it. But there are other options on the market that can help make this team a lot better and achieve your goal of being competitive in 2025. Now, how competitive, that remains to be seen, but there are ways to improve this team without having Juan Soto in the fold.
Yeah, and even it's going to be very hard for any team to pry him away from New York, especially the Yankees. But if there's any team that's going to do it, maybe Rogers can put up the money. But let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on that. And do you want to see Juan Soto on the Blue Jays? Probably the answer definitely yes. But how realistic do you guys think? Let us know how realistic you think it is. We'll see you tomorrow.